Hey, how's it going, everybody? It's your boy, Delightful Kissboy, and today I went to a casino and gambled for the first time. Now, I've been to casinos before, but I've never gambled myself. Just kind of hung out, checked things out, that sort of a thing. But I figured, hey, I make a lot of videos where I talk about gambling. I should probably give it a try at least once, just to see what the hubbub's all about. You know what I'm talking about? Now, I'm not going to be showing footage of me gambling or anything like that. I didn't take any footage. I was just going with my boys, and we went and, checked it out. And since it was the first time that I had gone gambling, I didn't want to have to worry about setting any of that shit up. If you're playing at table games, they didn't want us using electronics anyway. I didn't want to have to, figure that shit out, and so you'll be seeing something else in the background. So if hearing me yap about my experience isn't good enough for you, feel free to click off, man, but I'm just going to talk about what happened. Now, overall, TLDR, okay, I had fun today, all right? But most of that was not due, actually the vast majority of that was not because of the casino at all, okay? I'll explain what happened with this day. And now, before I start as well, okay, no matter what I tell you happened today, it is not an endorsement of gambling in any way at all. I don't think it's a good call to gamble for most people, okay? But let me just make my stance on gambling a little bit more clear, okay? I am not anti-gambling for the most part. I just personally don't really like gambling too much, you know? It's okay sometimes. I'm just like, whatever. I'm pretty ambivalent to it. I don't really care if people do it. I have a lot of friends who gamble. They have a good time with it. I don't think that that's a bad thing necessarily because they're responsible with it. So I don't have strong opinions about it. I understand it's a problem for a lot of people, and I think that that's shitty. I don't particularly like casinos that well, etc., and different organizations that enable gamblers, right? But overall, I would not call myself anti-gambling, and I would be a hypocrite if I were to, because I went gambling today at a casino. Okay, there you go. So let's just let's go through the day. I'm gonna kind of skip over the shit that doesn't matter, get to the juicy part. I just want to give you some context. All right, so I meet up with my boys. I'll call them M and D. Okay, so M and D are two of my friends. I've known them a while. M has gone to a casino a couple times. He's gone for his birthday, that sort of shit, but didn't really have much experience. D has gone to casinos more often, but it's still I don't know, half a dozen to 10 times, you know? So he's had more experience. The shit that D likes to do is he likes to play roulette. That's his game. He says it's because of the vibes, you know? He kind of gets a feeling for the numbers that are kind of come up, you know, that sort of thing. He's a fun guy. I like D a lot, you know? I'm a little bit skeptical when it comes to the the feeling by vibes thing, but it's each their own. I don't think he thinks it gives him an advantage necessarily. I think he just does it to have fun. So, I'm not actualing people in real life. I'm just trying to have a good time. And D's a great guy, okay? M, he's shown up to the casino a few times, just kind of dinked around. I think a lot of times he would go with D as well, and so he'd probably just play roulette or something like that. So he doesn't have, none of us have a whole lot of experience, But we meet up in the morning, and most of the day we spend doing non-casino shit. And let me tell you, I had a great time today, but once again, most of that was just because I was hanging out with my friends, all right? So if you got a hankering to go to the casino to have a good time, I think you can get most of your fix by just hanging out with your friends and going and doing other shit, as well. Because those were kind of the highlights of today. But I'm not going to get too into detail about that. We meet up, we go get breakfast, we get coffee, we checking shit out in my state, that sort of a thing. Until, from 10 to about 3 o'clock or so is when we roll up to the casino. Maybe it was 4 o'clock. I'm going to say 4 o'clock is when we roll up to the casino. And we go in, So we find some parking, which is far as fuck away from the casino because they have, the premium members get to park closer or some shit, so we had to walk. I'm like, okay, we have to walk so far to get into this casino. It's to go probably lose money, alright? So we enter the casino through one of the doors. It just had, like, casino written above it, you know? And, it's just this gigantic hall of slot machines, alright? As soon as we go in, there's slots as far as the eye can see, and they're all, like, pretty new slots, you know? And there's people sitting there just pushing the buttons over and over and over again. And so, you know, I'm going in, I don't want to play slots, but I made an agreement with my friends that I would put at least a little bit of money into the machine if we found Lucky Larry's Lobster Mania, because I just, you know, made a video about it, and I just think it's funny, you know? And so, we were walking around checking things out, and we found Lucky Larry's Lobster Mania 5, which is different than the one that I analyzed in the, you know, in the video I made. But we were like, oh my god, it's Lucky Larry, and so we had to play it, alright? So, my friend D, you know, he puts $5 in the machine, and pretty much loses all of it. I think he just did pretty much lose all of it, and then I put 2 more of my own dollars into the machine, and basically lost that immediately as well. Ended up cashing out 50 cents, so we turned $7 into 50 cents, which was a good start to our journey. Yeah, I'll show you a little clip of us playing. It was extremely exciting. Alright, Lucky Larry's gonna pay out today, baby. I know it. Come on, man, we got this, Oh, look at that, you got the Starfish combo, man. The Patrick Star special. You fucking suck at this game, dude.
Yeah, I'm not good.
You don't know the optimal strats. What the hell's going on? Oh, you got a bunch of seagulls, man.
What does that mean?
This man's for the birds. Alright, so that was the clip right there, and let me tell you, for the tiny, minuscule amount of time that we sat there playing slots, that was the most boring shit in my fucking life. Like, I still do not understand the appeal of slots. You are just sitting there, pushing a button, probably losing money. Like, what the fuck, what is this? You know what I mean? That was admittedly, we did not play it long, but it's just like, push button, money goes down, occasionally you get a small payout, who gives a fuck? You know what I mean? Like, it sucked. So, slots blow, but that was like the majority of the casino. Like, it was basically like this huge hall full of slot machines in the dark, basically, and then like the middle area was kind of like where the table games were, and they were like the minority of the games available by far in the casino. So, you know, that's kind of telling about where the casino is making most of its money, right? But anyway, so, you know, that was before we even got our cash. There were like ATMs in the place, so we found the ATMs, and D and M each took out $100, you know. It's like we're doing relatively modest amounts of money, you know. I myself took out $200 that I was willing to lose. Now, I knew going into this that I was like, I'm just gonna lose all of this money. Like, I don't care, you know. I want to see what it's like to gamble at the casino, and I'm just gonna pay $200 to see how that happens, right? And so that's what I do. So I got $200 out. M and D each got $100 out, okay? And so we're walking around, and D wants to, of course, play roulette. That's his game of choice. And he hasn't played other games. Like, he's played a little bit of blackjack. I think they both have. But they haven't played craps. And what I wanted to do is I want to try out craps because I've made some videos about it recently. You know, I'm like, okay, I want to try that shit out. But we were like, okay, let's start off with roulette. Now, I'm not a big roulette fan, you know. I have made videos about Roulette Professional where I ream him out for his dumb fucking strategies, right? So we sit down and I put $40 in. We each put like $40 in, okay? That we're gonna spend on roulette. And I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna lose all of this fucking money. Who gives a shit? This is, you know, whatever. But we sit down and there's like another dude there who's got this big ass pile of chips, you know? And he's just like laying them out, like in this, it looked like he was doing some kind of a pattern, but it's like, he's filling like half of the fucking board or more with just like $1 bets on all these different numbers, right? I'm just thinking, it's like, dude, just bet on like fucking like red or black if you're gonna put that many numbers down, right? I mean, I don't know. He's doing his thing, and I was just like, okay, like I sit down, and you know, I think he's got some kind of system to determine what he wants to bet on, you know, because I think these people think that they can predict what the fucking, where the ball is gonna land, right? And so I just am like, okay, it's $5 minimum bets. It was like $500 maximum bets. I got $40 in chips. I put $5 on the last third. Why did I choose the last third? It was the one that was closest to me where I was sitting. And so I was like, it's bound to hit. It's close to me. It's gotta hit, baby. And so I put, you know, $5 down. D and M put their bets down. I don't remember what the fuck they were betting. D was kind of, you know, spreading his bets out. He liked to bet the 2 streets, all right? And that's when you kind of put a chip between 2 different lines of 3 numbers on the board, you know? And so that's what he was kind of doing. He was doing that and then putting, you know, $1 on some numbers here and there and shit. I don't know what the fuck he was up to, really. I was just over there making, basically, the entire time I was just putting like $5 on one spot, okay? I'll get into that in a sec. So I start off with the last third, and they spin it out, and it landed somewhere in the last third. I don't remember which number it was, but I got paid out, you know, 2 to 1, right? Because it's 1/3 of it, and so, you know, minus the zeros, and so I get paid out 2 to 1, and so I've turned my $5 bet into $15 right off the bat. So, you know, I'm in the green, baby, by a whole $10. Holy shit, okay? So, you know, I'm like, okay, sweet. I really don't give a fuck. I've basically resigned myself to the fact that this $40 is gonna go away, right? And I'm just here for the experience, to observe what's going on, and just take it all in, right? And so then I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna put another fucking $5 on the last third again, right? Because who cares, you know? And so they're, you know, laying all their shit out, like, willy-nilly, whatever, you know? And I'm just putting on the last third. We get another number. It is a, it landed in the second third, I believe, so I lose that $5 bet. And I may have done that, like, one more time. Now, after that point, I was just like, you know what? I'm just gonna, like, you know, people are doing all these elaborate things. And I'm just like, fuck this, you know? So I put... I put $5 all just on 22. The number, the single number, 22. All right? And I was just like, yeah, fuck it. I'm putting $5 on 22. It's gonna pay out like 36 to 1 if it hits. Let's just see what fucking happens. Who cares? You know, I'm gonna lose this money. And so, you know, they spin it. Obviously doesn't land on 22. I mean, not obviously, but it doesn't land on 22. And then I'm just like laughing. Like, I keep, like, there's the old man who had his big pile that he was spreading out all over the place. The first time I did, he's like, you know, you can, like, spread it out, right? And I was like, no, I know. I'm aware of that. But I'm just gonna put it all on 22, because who fucking cares? It's the same house edge anyway, right? I mean, this dude's spreading out. I mean, here's the thing. You spread it out, if you miss, you lose big. If you win, you don't win that big because you lose on every other fucking space, right? So I'm like, I'm well aware, mister, that I can, you know, spread out my bet. I'm not choosing to do so, right? He's like, okay, you know. I mean, I didn't snap at him like that. I was like, oh no, I know, but I know that 22's coming up. And so, you know, I'm doing this, and I just keep doing it. I'm just laughing my ass off because I'm just throwing $5 down the toilet, and the dealer's like, I guess it's your lucky number, right? And, you know, and I put it on 22, and I'd be like, oh, I hope 17 comes up. You know, I'm just fucking around. Like, these other people at the table, like, are so invested in what's going on. Like, there was a guy who showed up, and he's like, puts all this money down, you know, and then, he basically, like, it's like he puts all this money on the table, right? So he's very likely to win. And then it lands on, like, one of the numbers that he has not covered, and he loses, like, all of that money. And he goes, that's such fucking bullshit. He's fucking bullshit. And he got so mad and just leaves. You know, I'm like, why are you doing this? Are you even having fun? You know, what the fuck is... Of course, that's the name of the game, you know? The more you put down, the more you stand to lose, the more likely it is that you're gonna fucking lose money. What are you talking about? It's bullshit. That's the game, you fucking dumb. Sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself, but like, I'm just like, what are you talking about, man? Anyway, so I'm just keep putting $5 on the 22 and losing all of my money because I think it's funny. But then pretty early on, it hits 22, and so my $5 bet pays out, I don't know, fucking 100 and something, $180 or some shit like that. They just, you know, they count it all out for me, and I'm like, hell yeah, brother, so I'm in the green, you know, again, or right off the bat there, you know, and so I got this big fat stack of change, because it hit 22, like, within, like, 5 spins of me jokingly betting on 22, while all these other people are, like, you know, betting with these systems and shit, you know, I just get dumb luck and fucking hit 22. And we continued to bet, and I just kept betting on 22, and I'd pretend that I was gonna bet on something else, and then psych people out and just move it to 22 again, because I thought it was funny, you know? I was trying to find a way to have fun with this game when I'm like, there is literally nothing to this game other than that you're just spinning a fucking wheel. Like, who gives a fuck, right? So I ended up, like, losing, you know, a good amount of that money, but like, we ended up cashing out, and I walked away from the table. I brought 40 bucks to the table. I walked away with like 130 bucks with that, you know, from that $40, right? I've still got the rest of my $160 that I've withdrawn, you know, but I've turned $40 into fucking 125 bucks. Now, once again, you know, this is not an endorsement of this at all. I got stupid lucky hitting a single number on roulette because I thought I was just joking around. Like, who gives a fuck, right? But there you go, okay? So I walked away in the green. My friend D walks away in the green. My friend M is in the red. He's lost most of that money, which is what most people will probably experience. Now, the old man who was there ended up, I think, losing most of his money as well. It was interesting talking to him, by the way, because he was kind of like chiming in because he knew that we weren't very, like, experienced, quote unquote. Now, being experienced at gambling is not a valuable thing at all. It doesn't help you in any way. As we see, this dude, you know, lost most of his money, it looked like, and I ended up winning a bunch of money betting all on one number, okay? As basically shit posting, you know? So that's just how it goes, right? And everybody is is expected to lose like 5.26% of whatever they put down, you know? But he was talking about, it's like, oh, you know, if your lucky number hits, you want to bet, you know, to the left and right of it as well, you know, so that it's kind of insurance, you know? And I'm thinking, like, I was kind of like nodding and be like, oh, that's an interesting way of looking at it. But in my head, I'm like, yeah, okay. your lucky number. Like, this is how a lot of these people are thinking about it, right? And he was telling us about how, like, I don't know, like, they track you with player cards and shit like that. It's just like, it was very odd. There's another dude who came up to the table, cashed in for like $200 twice, put all this money on the table, and like lost all of the, like $400 like within a few spins, and then just left. It was like, all right, well, yeah, there, he's gone. I mean, honestly, that's probably how you should be doing it, is just you make big bets. But I mean, I don't know. Dude was probably going around the casino and just making gigantic bets like that. But anyway, there we go. So I'm ranting right now. I'm in the green after roulette. We're playing for a bit, you know. I was trying to make it kind of last, you know, so I was making minimum bets on just 22. But I personally am like, what is the point of doing this if I'm not going to try to kind of win big? And so I just kept betting on single numbers, right? So we walk away from that. I'm up like 80 something bucks, right? And it's like, all right, let's go look around. And so we found a craps table. There was like one craps table in the place that was like being manned. And you know, I've done all this craps analysis, but I've never played it in person. So we kind of are approaching the table. It's a little intimidating. It's like surrounded by these people. You know, they're in the middle of this game. You know, there's these dealers there. The dealers are preoccupied with, like, you know, doing, you know, paying out all these bets and shit. And so we're just kind of like standing around observing, because none of us have actually played craps. I knew the most about how it worked, you know, because I've done all these analysis videos. So I pretty much know all the bets on the table and how that shit works. But I don't know, like, the etiquette of, like, do I just go up to the fucking dealer in the middle of this shit and be like... I mean, I knew that you're supposed to wait until the point is off before you kind of, like, buy in and that sort of shit. So I was like, okay, well, wait for that. But I'm, like, trying to observe and just see the etiquette that people are using, that sort of shit, before I dive in. And so... M and D have never played before, they really have no idea what's going on. I tried to explain on the way over, I'm like, just make pass bets and then place odds, that's all you need to do, you know, but, like, you know, craps can seem a little intimidating and complicated, right? And so, D is down to, like, 60 bucks, you know, and the craps table we were playing at was a $10 minimum bet. So, you know, it's a little bit steep compared to the $5 that we were playing with at the roulette table, you know? And then on top of that, it's like, you know, I'm making odds bets. So we cash in, you know, and we start playing, okay? And so basically what I did is I took all of the money that I had from roulette, which is like 120 whatever dollars. I take $100 out of my pocket, right? So I've got $60 outside of that I have not exchanged for chips yet, and then so I buy in for like 100 more bucks. So I'm at like 225 bucks or so, or 230 bucks, somewhere around there. And we start playing, okay? And so people are like shooting, and the only thing that I am doing is making pass line bets with high odds amounts, okay? And I'm betting a lot in odds because, as I've discussed in my videos, those are the best bets on the board, and the more that you're placing in odds, the lower the effective house edge on those bets. So I'm thinking, I'm here to lose all this money, and let's go ahead and do it, but I might as well play the bets that have the lowest house edge, right? And so this was a 10x odds table, all right? So I was like, okay, is this like a 3, 4, 5x table? And he's like, no, it's just 10x. You can place up to 10x. Now, nobody else at the table was doing that except me and then, you know, D and M, right? So, because I told them, like, place odds, right? Those are fair bets, that sort of shit, right? And so, nobody else at the table's doing that. They're all doing place bets and stuff. There's some people who are doing, you know, comes, like pass, like I think somebody was doing 3-point Molly near me, which is where you basically make a pass line bet, and you, like, do 2 come bets for like small amounts, but you're not placing odds, really, right? And then the people on the other side of the table, away from us, it looked like they were just doing pretty much exclusively place bet systems. So nobody's really doing pass line with odds, and I was being a degenerate and just maxing that shit out as much as possible, basically. I was making giant odds bets, and immediately off the bat, I like get wiped out a couple times. And so I go down from like $225 all the way down to like 85 bucks. So I'm just getting wiped out because I'm putting a lot of money down on these big bets. Because I'm just like, yeah, fuck it, let's fucking send it. I'm gonna get the full gambling experience today. And, you know, and then I'm shooting for the first time, you know, and my friend D was shooting for the first time. Now, M gets knocked out before he even gets a chance to shoot. He basically gets wiped out with all of us, because we're all doing pass line with some amount of odds. And they kind of didn't know what exactly was going on, right? And so, D only had 60 bucks to start with, and so he just loses all of that money, essentially. So... or sorry, M loses all that money, essentially, right? And so he's just out, okay? Out $100. Now that is the takeaway. No matter what I tell you today, that is the takeaway. That is going to be your average experience going to a casino, is you're going to be M, all right? Keep that in mind for the rest of what I'm going to talk about. So I go down to 85 bucks. D is somewhere in between. He's talking to the dealer who's kind of explaining more of the rules of the game, and he's getting into it. D is he's kind of a gambling man, so he's liking this. He's like, ooh, never played this before, and he's starting to make place bets on the 6 and the 8 per the dealer's recommendation. I disagree personally, but you know, the 6 and the 8 place bets aren't that bad. You know, they've got a low house edge. Obviously, it's still a higher house edge than if you just did the pass line by itself with no odds, but, you know, who cares, right? Whatever. Good enough. Better than roulette, let me tell you. So, you know, we're having a good time, and then D starts shooting. He goes before me, and he, like, set a point or two, I think, and then hit him. And so I'm able to make back a little bit of money off of D's shooting, D's nuts, all right? And so I don't know, I can't remember exactly where I was at, but I'm kind of going up, and then it goes to me shooting, and I'm betting, but I'm trying to also just kind of focus on, like, getting the shooting technique down. Both D and I, like, ended up throwing the dice, like, out of the table because I haven't, you know, thrown dice across a fucking board before, usually. I'm usually rolling it in front of me, you know? So they kind of go bouncing all around and shit, right? And so, like, you know, we're shooting and sometimes it goes flying off. It only did that, like, once for me, I think. But I set one point and then hit the point, and then I started shooting again, and I set another point and then sevened out, and then I'm like, okay. So it moves on to the next guy. Next guy, like, immediately sevens out. I'm down again. And then it's got going around, and I think I was somewhere around, like, back to about $100. By the time it goes back to D again. Now, this is where it gets kind of interesting, you know? Not really, because it's just a bunch of fucking random numbers, right? That's really what's going on when you're rolling these dice. But D starts going, all right? And I just go, D, I believe in you, buddy. You know, I'm just joking around. I'm fucking around, right? And so I put down these you know, I put down, $10 pass line bet per usual, and then and then he sets a point. It was like a 4. It was a 4, and then I put down like $50 in odds because it go up to like 10x, right? And so, you know, that's like most of my money on the table now because I was like about $100, so I maybe have like $40 left that I've cashed in for chips. I still have like $60 in my pocket, but I'm like, all right, you know, I'm probably gonna try to use that money for something else later, you know. Try to get some more experience or whatever. And then he starts shooting and then he hits the 4. So I get like paid out like, you know, $100 off of that for the odds, and then I get the fucking pass line bet, and then it's like, all right, he's shooting again, right? And so I put down $10. I'm like, I believe in you, D. I'm shit posting, by the way. I have no insight into whether he's going to do well or not. I'm just like, you know, he's having a fun time shooting and he's getting excited, you know, and I don't really give a fuck, but I just think it's funny, you know. I'm just egging him. I'm like, you can do it, man, you know, that sort of thing. And so I put down $10 on him again, and then he hits another 4 as the point, another 4, and I put down $100 in odds. I'm just like, fuck it, brother. So I put down $100 in odds, and or no, that was the 6. Yeah, so he hits the 6, and then I put down $100 in odds, and he hits his point. So I get paid out a fuckload of money because I put down $100, and it pays out. That one's like 7 to 5, I think, or some shit like that. So you know, I get paid out like a what would that be, like $140 or something like that. So I get $140. So now I'm up quite a bit. And then I'm like, all right, I'm just gonna keep betting until he sevens out, you know. And so he, for no particular reason, once again, I have no insight into what's gonna happen next, right? There's no such thing as a hot shooter. That only exists in hindsight, by the way. I'm just like, whatever, dude. I'm here to lose this money. So, you know, I put down another $10 in the pass line, and then he sets another 4. And so I'm like, $100 fucking down, buddy. On the 4, there's only a 2/3 chance that's going to pay out. A 1/3 chance it's going to pay out. 2/3 chance that I'm going to lose $110 right there, you know? And I'm just like, D, you can do it, buddy. You know, he's shooting more and stuff, and he hits the fucking 4, so I get paid out like $200 in odds and then $10 in the pass line. I'm just like laughing my ass off because it's just like, oh my god, this is so stupid. I should not be getting rewarded for this behavior at all, you know. And so like I think he's like shooting more, and anyway, long story short, I was up to like, you know, like $600 or something like that. And so then I put down, my money again. He sets another point. I don't remember what it was. I put down $100 in odds, and then I lose it. All right, so he sevens out, and it's like, okay, let's cash out. And so we cash out, and I count up the money that I've got, and so I've put, I put $40 into roulette. I put $100 into $100 extra dollars into craps. I count up my money. I'm up to like $495 or something like that, with like the extra $60 in my pocket, right? So I'm up quite a bit off of just doing pass line bets with full odds, which as I explained earlier, these are low house edge bets, effectively, right? So the pass line bet is a 1.41% house edge. The odds that you place down are fair bets, but they can only be made after the point is set. And so the average, effective house edge that you get if you're placing 10x odds down whenever a point is set is like about a 0.118% effective house edge, I believe. Something like that. Obviously, it's a little bit higher when it's on a 4 or whatever, which it was a lot of the time, But I was just full sending it, man. I was like, fuck it, brother. But so I was up to like, $500-ish off of the $140 I've put in. So I've like, what is that? I basically, like more than 3x that money, And then D is up quite a bit too, because he was betting kind of very similar to me. He was making like pass line bets with a little bit of odds and then placing the 6 or the 8 or something. Like one time he made a 9 bet. Actually, he called that too. He was like, can you move it from the 6 to the 9? And then he shot, because he was still shooting when he did that. And then it like immediately hit on a 9. I mean, that's just stupid luck, but it kind of further reinforces his own view that, he's got the magic precog, that sort of shit, right? And so there you go. And M is out of money at that point, so we're like, all right, I think it's been maybe like an hour and a half to 2 hours that we've been there total. But we were like, all right, let's just fucking cash out and leave. You know what I mean? Like, I'm up like, fucking $350 or some shit. And D is up like $100 or something, maybe $100, maybe whatever. He was like, oh, this is the biggest I won at the casino, that sort of shit. And then M is down, so we're like, let's just cash out. So we go to the cashier. Also, I should mention, like, everybody at this casino who's like working there just kind of seemed miserable, except for the people at the craps table. They seemed fine. But like, I forgot to mention, when we were at the roulette table, the woman who was like, paying out, essentially like fucked up or something like that. Like, so what basically when you're playing roulette, it's like they're spinning the wheel, and then it'll land on the number, and there's like a computerized system where you can essentially see like it'll like light up the squares that are like paying out on the board. Okay, there's like, it's like underlit under the felt or something like that, and then the paying squares will light up. So she like fucked up, and like they've got this little like glass, almost like dauber thing, or like a paperweight thing that she takes and then puts on the number that wins. And so like 15 was the number that comes up, but then she put it on 17 for some reason, because I mean both the 15 and the 17 were covered up, so she's kind of like fucked up. But then like there was something weird that happened where she moved it, she like took it off of the 17 and moved it to the 15, and then the pit boss came over and was like reaming her out for doing that. It was like, oh, you shouldn't have moved it without like calling me over or something. And it was really awkward, and I'm just like, oh, this poor woman, And then like she ended up like paying out D when she shouldn't have or something. I don't know exactly what was going on, but like D didn't say anything. I wasn't paying attention at the time, and I don't know. It's like a fucking casino. I don't give a fuck if they mess up and end up paying out when they shouldn't. These games are bullshit. So he ended up getting paid a little bit extra that he shouldn't have been getting paid because of a dealer mistake. But I felt very bad for that woman. It was awkward. People at the casino seemed kind of miserable. Definitely the people who were running who were the cashiers seemed kind of miserable. I cashed out my 50 cents from Lucky Larry's Lobster Mania, cashed out the 495 or so bucks, and then we ended up hitting the road and heading back home. And so, and then on the way back, I was like, hey guys, well, I won this money, and it was D that was rolling the whole time. How about we go and get, so somebody suggested sushi, and I was like, it's on me, baby. And so, we go to this sushi place, and I'm like, let's just fucking spend most of this money. Like, I don't give a fuck. This is just bullshit money that I was like, I don't care, because I was expecting to lose it, and then I ended up profiting, which is just, once again, this is not typical experience. Don't expect to do what I'm talking about. It was just dumb luck, right? So we go to this sushi place that was very good, and I was like, let's just buy some fancy shit, buddy. And so we ended up spending like $240 on sushi, like nice-ass sushi. We got this like sashimi. They had these fucking thick cuts of fatty tuna, man. Oh my God, brother. It was great. It was awesome. That was probably the highlight of my day. Once again, the highlights of today was not going to the casino and sitting in a dark fucking room with a bunch of people getting angry at spinning wheels. Although I did have some fun playing craps, I will admit. It was more fun than I was expecting it to be. I'm definitely not going to be going back often. All right. We were talking, so D likes gambling or whatever. I'm probably down to go, take like $100 or $200 to the casino, like once a year, maybe, once or twice a year, and just be like, all right, fuck it, I don't, if I'm bringing in $100, I don't really give a shit, it's fine. If I'm making a whole day out of it and I lose $100 at the end of it, it's like, whatever, man, who cares? And we're usually doing a thing where if like any of us are up, we're probably gonna go get dinner, and that person's gonna pay for other people, it's gonna be a fine time hanging with the boys anyway. And so that's what ended up happening. Basically, lessons learned today is that M and D are awesome, and they are my good friends who I care for very much. And that was pretty much the only reason that I had fun today. Sushi is good. Gambling is pretty mid, and I wouldn't recommend it, even though I ended up. I understood that was a fluke, and I am not under the delusion that I can reproduce this consistently at all, and I don't recommend that you attempt to do so either. So there you go. That was my experience going to a casino. I have come home. I'm a little bit sleepy, I was just kind of rambling, but I hope you enjoyed listening to me ramble about this, and now I'm going to go to sleep. Let me know if you have any questions down below, okay? Lucky Larry's forever. Bye-bye.